This is Doug Caldwell, University of Florida, Collier County Extension. Today we're going to look at tree structure and how to properly prune them. This morning I'd like to introduce you to a certified arborist. Hi Ian.
How are you, Doug?
Ian Orlikoff is with Signature Tree. What do you think, Ian? Why are we here today?
Well, it appears we have a young live oak tree that has not been pruned, and that's actually a good thing because we're not going to be correcting any mistakes in the tree. We're just going to be working with the original structure. We're going to be improving the safety and a more sound tree to withstand wind events. Well, it appears that we have a co-dominant leader, both equal in size.
So that means two main branches that want to be the leader.
Competing leaders, and we find a fairly decent branch attachment. However, it's not the severe bark inclusion that we're used to seeing with co-dominant leaders.
The first feature we notice is that this has a split trunk. It's not a V-shaped trunk, which tends to develop included bark. It's more of a U-shaped attachment, which is stronger. Our first consideration then in developing a strong tree is to develop a strong leader. So how would you approach this tree?
Well, when you're going to select a single leader, you want to select for dominance. So we're looking in the tree and we see that we've got two major co-dominant limbs, one of which we want to reduce to encourage the dominant leader. And we would point at the one that's most in the center of the tree that appears to be shooting straight, and then prune accordingly to that leader.
So we want to push growth into the central leader. Does that mean we just cut this competing leader entirely off?
Well, that would be nice to be able to do that. Unfortunately, removing that much of the tree can be detrimental to its health. So what we want to do is pick about 30% of this co-dominant stem and reduce that, because removing too much of the canopy can stress the tree. So we want to clear some of the bottom limbs out for access to the yard, as well as creating clearance for right-of-ways and pedestrians. Any crossing or interfering branches that aren't going to develop into a healthy structure, we can also remove. And it's always better to remove branches when they're the size of your pinky than when they're 6 inches in diameter. Branches that are facing or pointing downward. Always making a bottom cut and top cut first, and then finish off the stub cut, so that way it doesn't tear into the trunk and cause an open doorway for rot that can lead to branch failure. It's important to go to the University of Florida website. They've got some great diagrams on how to make proper branch cuts. Doug, oftentimes what I see is to create clearance, people are always cutting all the way back to the trunk. But in essence, if you reduce the length of the branch that's interfering with the structure, if you just reduce it back, that'll give it some clearance rather than overlifting it.
You want to keep as much foliage on there to produce carbohydrates to feed that branch. If you take too many branches off, it's going to get skinny and weak.
Right. Yep. I'm trying to open the canopy to the point where, as well as creating a good structure and proper development, it's going to allow us to gain access into the remaining canopy. We're going to move up into the center part of the tree and work our way up the structure. What do you think, Doug?
So you want to strip out some more branches there?
I'm probably going to wait till I get up in there with my saddle and actually take a look at the higher portions of the structure and make some more decisions up in the tree.
Very good.
So what I'm going to do is just continue cleaning some of the interior growth that's going to be detrimental for the tree, whether it's growing into the structure or center of the tree, or limbs that are crowding out other limbs or crossing limbs. We're just continuing to clean out the structure somewhat. When you're doing some structural pruning is leave some healthy limbs in the interior in the event that we get a storm. If a limb breaks out, there's another limb behind it that will be able to continue on dominance and keeping the structure. If the tree is gutted out totally, as the limbs break out on the ends, then there's really nothing left in the tree. Now we're going to start to reduce some of this co-dominant leader here so we can encourage the central leader that we've selected to be the dominant lead. And that won't be able to be accomplished in one pruning. It's going to take several pruning cycles to reduce this co-dominant leader in developing this as a central lead. We're going to make our cut, and we're going to take about, I'd say, 25% of this leader out, 25 to 30%. Well, I think this is going to be the remaining structure that's going to stay with the tree, and none of these limbs are probably going to be removed or shouldn't be removed in the future.
Well, Ian, it looks quite different. It's a lot more attractive, and you've created a framework for the branches in the tree to grow and be stronger.
All right, Doug, what we've done is we've basically set the structure up for this tree to be able to grow into a large mature oak tree, and requiring very little structural pruning as the years go on. So now we've got a good sound structure to start out with, and in a perfect world, when the tree was planted, or 4 inches in diameter, that's the time to really start structural pruning, training your trees when they're young. So they're basically growing on their own as that structure has been set for them.
So by pruning these branches that we're competing, we're pushing the growth, like Dr. Gilman likes to talk, like a balloon, pushing the growth into that new leader so it'll thicken up faster and do the job it should do.
Right, right. We're helping out that leader in the center there by reducing the other leaders around it, and over the years continuing on with that method and producing eventually a larger, stronger, dominant central leader.
Excellent. Thanks for your time, Ian.
Thank you, Doug.
We're here to help you beautify your landscape and protect the environment.